what is one of the best things that has happened to you while you've been out here doing the work and helping people to be well? Like, what's one of the most exciting things?
One of the most exciting things for me has been the sense of confidence that I have developed.
Mm-hmm.
And while I pour into other women, and I'll tell you what that means, it actually pours into me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things in my business and helping others with mind, body, and spirit. I have to exemplify that. So when I have clients, it challenges me to dig deep to be my best self, because I never want to give a person part of me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give them the healed version of me so that I can help them heal.
Yeah.
And the thing about helping others, broken people can't help broken people. Healed helps brokenness.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the reason why I take my business so seriously, and I can talk to you about how I got here as you ask the questions.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with that. Like, you know, you have to be in a sense well. You know, you may not be fully well, but you have to have something in you to be able to pour out to others.
Absolutely.
Right. And so you've been pouring out for, you know, a few years, but we always, you know, you always know, like, before even you walk into an assignment, it was like you kind of was already prepared. So so tell me, like, your journey to getting to where you are today and having your degree as a dietitian and teaching in a community, in corporate spaces, in community spaces. Like, how did you get here?
Well, I have to tell you, my journey is long-winded, but I will start with the process of getting to school. My first beginnings came from, in this space, came from when I became a widow in 2009. My husband and I are parents of 10 children. Well, he's gone, but 10 children. And one of my children passed away at the age of 6 in 2006, and I lost my husband when he was 37 3 years later. So because of those events in my life, I had to deal with myself. And to be honest with you, having those losses helped me learn who I was. So for me, tragedy birthed some processes in me that needed to be developed.
Okay.
And it helped me to prepare to help others.
Okay.
So on my journey, I had lost 170 pounds. But the how that I got there is what is different from most people. People talk about losing weight in relation to food, but I dug deep on the psychological component. So I have my degree in psychology and nutrition to help people understand the why behind the why of their eating behaviors. So that is a portion of how my journey started as far as becoming a dietitian.
Okay. And like, when you look at yourself today and you think about, like, the first loss, and then you think about the second loss with your husband, like, how does that make you feel inside? Like, did you ever think that you would have this type of confidence?
No. I was just reflecting yesterday. Yesterday was the 12th anniversary of my husband's passing. And that day was very difficult for me. So what I did was I created videos about my journey and what has happened over the 12 years and all of the growth that has happened. But what I realized is, and I know this is going to sound kind of cliche or maybe not, but for me, pain birthed my my vision. Let me give you an example of what I mean. When my husband was alive, I was a housewife for 17 years, and I had a severe dependency issue. I depended on my husband for everything. And when he passed away, I was surrounded at the kitchen table by all of my kids wondering, how am I going to do this? I didn't sign up for this. You know, I never wanted to be a single mother. I had my first child when we were married. So that was the beginning of, man, I was blasted out of a canyon from 0 to 100 so fast that I didn't even realize I had time to process it. I didn't have time to process it. I just had to just move. And moving was painful. Because when you're getting pushed out of what's comfortable to you, it hurts. But, wow. Then I realized, man, I have a lot in me that I didn't know I had. So when I had that dependency spirit, when I didn't have that to rely on, then it birthed me looking at a new woman. But it happened slowly. Little by little.
Day by day.
Day by day, man. But in that time of healing, and even now, I'm learning how to help others because I can identify. So how can I tell another woman or another person, man, child, whomever, how to have self-confidence if I never experienced not having it and then coming into that place of complete confidence?
Mm-hmm.
But even in areas where things try to challenge my confidence, I remember how far I came, that it can't break that.
Yeah.
Because now I've proven to myself
Right.
that I can do it.
Right.
And I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
So my children were 16 to 4 months when my husband passed away, right? And
you had a 4-month-old?
I had a 4-month-old.
At the time?
At the time. 4-month-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 5-year-old, 13, 12, 15, and 16. I might have missed somebody, but that was the gist of their ages. And then I looked around my kitchen table, and one of my kids was like, Mom, like, what we gonna do? And the only thing that could come out of my mouth was, we gonna trust God. I didn't even know what that meant at the time. Because sometimes you're forced into spaces that you didn't ask for,
mm-hmm.
right? But what people miss when they say they trust God is also you held responsible for your portion in that relationship. So you can't just sit in your house with your Bible saying, I'm going to trust God, but not doing the work of what that means.
Say that again.
Exactly. It is a thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a partnership.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you an example.
That's relationship.
Relationship.
Yeah, partnership.
Partnership. In any area of your life is give and take. And boundaries. Even in relationship with God, there are boundaries.
Right.
They are.
And we often don't talk about that. And while you're talking about loss, you know, we don't think about that, but in that relationship and in that partnership, you realize that sometimes I'm going to lose some things.
Let me tell you. Yes. And sometimes
because you don't think that God would have, allowed those things to happen because God is God. Right. So you just like that's not going to happen. God is God. Everything good is going to happen to me all the time, every moment. But then if you really look at it like we should, which is difficult because that's a faith journey, but you are going to experience loss, but you also going to experience a gain.
Yeah. And how can there be gains without recognizing losses? In order to identify a gain, you had to have loss first.
Yeah.
So I had anger. You know, I'll say this. I was raped at the age of 15. And I was raped by a family member. And I was always one of those young ladies that always wanted to wait until I got married. So that was a piece of brokenness that carried me into poor decision making. Okay. So with that, I ended up getting married too young when I was not ready.
And how old were you when you got married?
I had just turned 20.
Okay.
And that process in itself was, here's this girl, no kids, no sense of what she wanted, didn't know how to explain what I wanted because I didn't know. So I was going by tradition. In terms of how church is set up, you get married, you have a bunch of kids, but that really, really was a lot for a young woman.
Yeah.
Because I had children back to back to back while being insecure, while having a dependency spirit, while being broken, things that I hadn't dealt with in relation to the rape.
And it's interesting because in these times, like back then, years ago, like that was the norm. But you're still young, and in these times, 9, 10 kids.
Listen,
True.
But the beautiful part about that is, it's like I have a double life. I have the life that I can refer back to that's no longer me. But I thank God for her, because had it not been for those experiences, those learning curves, I would not have known what I needed to address. And one thing about helping people, even when it comes to nutrition, is when I'm working on helping a person address issues of their mind to help them have a breakthrough of releasing the weight in pounds, I teach them first to release the weight in bondage. So I was carrying weight of insecurity, weight of pain, weight of a voice that didn't feel heard. Because when you're a mother with a lot of children, oftentimes people think that that's all you know how to do. They looked at me as the little mother in the shoe, didn't have no degree, housewife, in an area where people we're in a climate now where people don't do that. Even when I was earlier, I'm 48 now, but I'm still relatively young. So back in the 90s, people weren't doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
the transition was already there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But the judgment that came with that lifestyle, seeing career-oriented women. A lot of my friends had went to college early on and didn't have kids yet, whereas by the time they got done with college and were beginning a family, I had already technically had all my kids. So now it brings me to a place of I get to start over.
Yeah.
And most people don't get a second chance.
Most people don't get to start over. And most people don't get to, get to know themselves. Like a lot of women do not get the privilege before they leave this earth to get to know themselves.
That's so true.
Isn't that a honor? Like that's a joy.
It is.
That's an experience that nobody can take away from you.
And what's so amazing about what you said, and I love how you just put that. For me, my second chance means so much to me. So when I can run 10 miles at my age. I can do 20 times up at the lakefront, 20 times down running. But it's because I really, really have tapped into a place of getting back everything that I deserve.
Yeah.
But that also came with loss. So the loss was great, but the gain is greater.
Okay.
Because to whom much is given, much is required. And with my journey of having children, I have 9 surviving children. 6 are boys and 3 are girls. None of them are in trouble. Single mom, we supposed to be a statistic. They grew up in the hood of 24th and Burleigh. But they are roses that grow out of concrete. But they had to watch their mother birth their pain for them to understand that things are possible for them. So the reality is, when we have children or whomever we are connected with, when people actually see your losses, then that helps, and they also see your gains.
Right.
And
the balance of it.
Listen.
Yes, the balance of it.
That's what makes my business impactful. Because I posted myself on videos doing exercises when I was embarrassed of my size. But I knew in my vision that other people couldn't see that it would be another side. But somebody said, why are you posting your stuff? You're not ready. You need to help yourself first. Why are you trying to help somebody else? But they didn't know what I know.
Yeah.
Because the thing about our gifts, when we are behind the scenes cultivating things that people don't see on social media, don't nobody know the work that you put in.
Right.
Was nobody with me when I was running those stairs and when people were laughing at me because I was so heavy running and I was in tears because the cars that would ride by were pointing. But now I'm helping the very same people that laughed.
That were right and were pointing at you. Talk about that. That is really real. Like how you are like built in private to be able to impact in public.
Man, let me tell you, that's so important. Because if you, and this is what I'll say about that. Other people's perception of you are not your reality. Because people can make a perception about me, it's not very many Black dietitians in the state of Wisconsin, period. I think from the last that I've heard, it's either between 11 and 14 in the state of Wisconsin, African American.
And you're one of them.
And I'm one of them. Also private practice, which is another thing that's also rare. So here's the thing. I do mentorships for our RDs. And I train, whether they're white or Black, I help train dietitians to help service people, to get people off of or professionals to get off of just a clinical perspective, but looking at the person's need individually. Because clinical doesn't always tell the story. There's more to us individually as persons.
Right.
And if we really want to help others, we have to get in the trenches of really understanding, really listening, really loving, really caring. Passion don't pay bills, but when you chase passion, the money comes.
Okay.
So
say that again, because that's true.
Listen, Passion don't pay bills.
Yeah.
But when you chase passion, the money chases you.
And you have to really, really have that passion in what you're doing.
Let me tell you, it's critical because you think of, well, I'll say for my business, the value I feel when I see other people leverage off of something that we shared.
Mm-hmm.
And they can look back and have a reflection like I had in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then that pours into women who pour into so many other people. So you're not really just helping that woman. You're helping everything that's connected to that woman.
Everything that's connected to
her husband,
yeah,
her children,
mm-hmm.
her grandchildren, because you decided to listen
mm-hmm.
and share her heart, or you share your heart, help her see herself, and then you have just made it an investment in community.
Right, to change the whole trajectory of her family.
Absolutely.
And friends. And I always say, like when we are well, our communities are well, our families are well, our partners.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a trickle down effect.
Right. And the other part of that is when others are not well, because we're going to deal with broken people in the beginning,
mm-hmm.
because you've done the work for yourself, their brokenness can't break you. And
yes.
that's critical.
Right.
To navigate.
People don't talk about that.
No.
Yes. Dig into that, because that is so true.
Oh my God. It's so many layers of that.
Yeah.
Not only when it comes to, because I deal with, weight management, but think about the relationships. Now, right, I'll say this. I say this often. Oftentimes, women connect themselves to unprepared men. And they could have done a lot of work as far as educational, as far as making sure that they got their career path straight. But your inner being, if it's not structured and you don't identify who you are,
mm-hmm.
you would take on something that doesn't deserve you.
Yeah.
And it looks well on the outside. You can look, it's beautiful women that
mm-hmm.
that are they have so much value, but one person was able to connect to them because of their brokenness, and then they will still just be wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I had to learn to address my own mask. Because how can I help you take off your mask when I'm wearing one?
You don't address yours, yeah.
And one thing for sure, let's talk about the church world, because I've been there since I was 18. There's this place where we have a facade of healed. But what's the healed behind the facade? What's the real healing? Do you want people to just make it seem like you're healed because you see them every day and you want people to see that you're blessed? Because you're blessed anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You're blessed when you see who you are and when you see yourself like God see you. You're blessed anyway.
That's the real thing.
That's the real
thing. See yourself how God sees you.
And it's a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you see yourself like God sees you, what others think about you doesn't matter. You just keep moving through life and you get to those places like, how some people go to school to become things that they really don't want to be
mm-hmm.
because somebody said that that's who they should be.
Right.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Because then they're taking away from the value that they can add because of the gift that they were given to impact the world.
Yeah.
So now you're living off of a lens of other person's expectations, doing something that you hate every day, and you're not fulfilled,
mm-hmm.
leading to more brokenness.
Yeah. Yeah. You saying it.
It's true.
It's the truth. It is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And we appreciate you digging deep to do the work, like you said, like people were, laughing and looking and like, what is she doing?
Mm-hmm.
Or who is this woman? Or who does she think she is?
Mm. Oh, but you know what's so beautiful about that? They was looking.
Mm-hmm.
So you looked then and you looking now.
Right.
So what happens is sometimes in that place, then you have a person self-evaluate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they was looking at what they thought.
Mm-hmm.
And they missed the whole blessing.
They missed it. And you're so credible. I've watched your journey and,
mm-hmm.
and I am amazed by it. And there's so many things as we do as women to try to like lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
Some even, doing things to gain weight.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate the fact that you decided to do it in a healthy way
mm-hmm.
and really, really let's go and start with the mind, and with our insides. I think that is very like commendable of you to really get to the root, because that is very true. It doesn't matter how much weight you lose. If your inner is not the best, you're just gonna be someone that lost weight.
Yeah, and really, let me just say this. I do corporate and community wellness programs. I specialize in weight loss, but weight loss is not the only thing that I do. My main goal is to help with the mind, body, and spirit. Because when one of those three things are affected, they are all knocked down. Let's say your spirit is broken, or let's just use the example of somebody having depression. Sometimes when people are depressed, it affects their appetite, whether they eat too much or eat too little. And then it affects their physical, because they may not feel like being mobile. Some people feel like just being in the bed all the time with depression. So if you look at the diagnosis of depression, it affects all three components of you. So if I don't address all three components of you, when you need to lose weight, I missed the mark. Because you can lose the weight, but if you haven't addressed those other issues, you're just going to gain it back. And it causes a cycle that people are in, constantly chasing their tail and can't get out. So I don't want to just be like giving you a meal plan.
Right.
That's not enough.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot, and people end up thinking it's them. Like, I got an issue with food. I don't know. I eat too much. But do you know what you're dealing with that you haven't addressed? Do you even know how to address it? So I give you a scope of one of the things that I teach in my programs, and it's called Decluttering Your Cabinets for Nutritional Wellness or Weight Loss Success. Now, when I say that, what do you think I mean?
Your kitchen.
Meaning?
Like clearing things out of your cabinet.
Okay, what would that be? What would you think you clearing out of your cabinet for success?
The sugars, the sweets, all of those.
Okay. It's a component.
Yeah.
But when I just say decluttering your cabinets for success, I mean who is in your corner that sabotages you?
Yeah.
What are the things that's going on in your life that you have not addressed? Are you emotional eater, and why?
Yeah.
So decluttering your cabinets for success means decluttering your surroundings to make you effective. So when you're decluttering what surrounds you, it could be simple as your house is not clean and you need a space to help you think clearly. Or it could be as simple as, you know what? I like to eat late at night. Even though I ate all these other meals, I have this time in my head, because you built in a time clock emotionally, whether you're dealing with whatever it could be happiness. Because you can deal with issues if you're planning for a funeral or planning for a wedding. So if I haven't helped you navigate that and help you understand where you are, then you will miss it and you will think it's just the food. So I love it. It's like a puzzle piece. It's like God has given me the ability to navigate all of those things.
Yeah.
But look at my story.
Yeah, he gave you the inside scoop.
Man,
he gave you the inside scoop. You are one of the chosen ones.
But it came with a price.
Yes.
Loss, hurt, rejection.
And that's the thing. Like, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's just a thing of like, do you want my loss? Do you want my loss?
Can you say that again?
Do you want my loss?
Right. And what you said is something else. Because people will get jealous of the outcome.
Right. Yeah.
But had nothing to do with all those times. That song by Mary, when she talks about it's the God in me. You don't know the price I had to pay. You don't know who kicked me out. You don't know who said I couldn't do it and got into my head, and I had to fight through silencing the voices of negativity.
Mentally.
You don't know. You don't know how I felt, being in a lot of spaces where I'm the only African American woman, and I'm feeling like, man, I'm tired of trying to prove myself. I am what I am. But now it's at a place, and I love all people. I'm a community connector. I am one of those persons that understand working with populations that have a lot of wealth and those that don't have hardly any. That's homeless. or trying to figure out what to do with the foods in their food pantry, or people who can buy anything that they want. But we share one thing: where humanity exists. We all have a need for love, for being well, for being supported, and for understanding that we have a place in this world that nobody can push us out of. So, I just happen to be an African American woman that understands that. I have no room for not working with a certain population. I work with everyone.
And I love that. I mean, that's a testament to who you are as an individual.
Thank
outside of your work, but just who you are as an individual. But then also like the gifts God has given you to be able to impact everyone. Everyone can't speak to everyone.
No. And I will tell you this, and this is critical for anybody who's listening. When you're a giver, always make room for reciprocation. Because the reciprocation is your fuel to keep pouring into others. So if you don't have those moments of self-care, and let's be clear, usually I keep my nails done. They look a whole mess right now. So we ain't talking about just nails and hair. Self-care is making people respect your space. Setting boundaries of what you will and will not accept. Understanding that you don't have to be tolerant of things that do not support you as a person and your morality, moral values, or how you want to be loved. Because if you constantly pour into others but don't make room to address your own needs, you will burn out and you will quit. Because people will often use that for their benefit. And as long as they get what they want, you could be left holding the bag. So you can help other people get the bag, but keep your bag.
Keep your bag.
Keep your bag. Like, you got stuff in your
word.
Go ahead.
No, I said that's a good word. Keep your bag.
Keep your bag.
Yeah, it's so true.